The kind of place where nothing ever happens until it does. I went to Ridgewood Valley High School for 3 years, and not a week goes by that I don't think about him. Kyle Danner. He was that guy everyone wanted to be, at least on the surface. Star quarterback, charming, strong, that perfect movie smile. But if you looked a little closer, if you watched his eyes, you'd see something off, something cold. Kyle played for the crowd, but he lived for the dark, literally. After games on Friday nights, while most of us went to parties or just home, Kyle had a different kind of ritual. He'd go out with 3 childhood friends: Bradley, a wall of a guy who barely spoke; Nick, the loudmouth who laughed at everything; and Sean, the youngest, always looking like he didn't want to be there. They'd wait for the town to sleep, then head out, not to drink, not to party, not even to vandalize. They went out to hurt people, random people, people walking alone at night, people heading home from the late shift, people like you, like me. They'd jump them out of nowhere, hoodies up, no words, just fists and boots. Quick, brutal, cowardly. No one talked about it, but everyone knew. The town felt it. Because every Saturday morning, someone new would show up with a busted lip, a black eye, maybe a broken arm. Cops called them isolated incidents. The school, silence, because Kyle won games. And in small towns, if you win games, you win protection. I only found out the truth because of Sean. We ran into each other at the grocery store one Saturday. He looked like hell, pale, eyes sunken in, hands shaking. We started talking, just casual, until he suddenly said, "Sometimes I think Kyle's got something inside him, like a thing that feeds on fear. And he only feels alive when someone's screaming on the ground." I laughed, nervously, but he didn't. His eyes just locked on the floor, dead serious. That night was the last game of the season. Big win. Whole school celebrated. Kyle played like a man possessed, like he knew something we didn't, like he was saying goodbye. After the game, while everyone hit the gym party, Kyle left with his usual crew. Sean later told the police that Kyle was acting weird, quieter than usual. Said he had to settle something, that this would be the last time. They drove out toward the edge of town, old warehouses, dead-end streets, no lights. The kind of place you don't go unless you got a reason. Kyle told them to stay in the car, said he'd be right back. Sean said time passed slow. 5 minutes, 10, 15. Then they heard something. Laughter, not scream, laughter. But deep, wrong, like someone was enjoying it too much. Sean felt something shift in the air, like the air got thicker. He panicked. He ran. Just ran. Left Bradley and Nick behind and sprinted home, like a man being chased by the night itself. Showed up at his house shaking, shirt torn, with some blood on his face that wasn't his. We pieced together the rest from what came after. Bradley and Nick were found a few hours later at a cheap motel near the highway. Wouldn't say a word, not about Kyle, not about what happened. And Kyle, gone, just gone. No body, no blood, no tracks, no hoodie, no nothing. And here's the creepiest part. The attacks stopped. Cold turkey, as if a switch had been flipped. The town exhaled. It was like we'd been holding our breath for years. The school erased him. His trophies disappeared from the hallway case. His name scratched out of the yearbook, like he never existed. But I know he did. I saw him. And I remember. Months later, the school janitor, Mr. Harris, this old guy who'd worked there over 2 decades, told me something that still messes with my head. Said some nights he heard things in the locker room after everyone had gone home. Heavy stuff being dragged, lockers slamming, low chuckling. I thought he was just being dramatic until he showed me something. In the back of locker 47, Kyle's old locker, there was a carving. Looked like it was scratched in deep, maybe with a key or a fingernail. It said, "The anger still lives here." It just found a new face, and man, that chilled me. I haven't been near that locker room since, not even during reunions. Because here's what you learn with time. Guys like Kyle don't just vanish. They shift, they change, they wait, and they always come back when the game starts again. Antony Fletcher wasn't like the other boys at school, not because he ran better, but because his skin told a story no one wanted to hear. Vitiligo, white patches on his arms, his neck, his hands, even his face. In the minds of the other kids, that was all it took for him to become a target of laughter, of disgust, of rejection. But Antony ran like escaping it all was the only way he could breathe. And maybe it was. On the school track team, no one dared to take him off the lanes. He was the best, by far, breaking state records, even with worn-out shoes, and no one cheering for him from the bleachers. He had already accepted his role, invisible, ignored, mocked, except by one person, Sophia Keller. Blonde, soft laugh, a voice that seemed to calm down even the noise of the world. She was popular but not arrogant, beautiful but kind. At least that's how she looked from afar. Antony didn't know how to love, but he knew how to observe. And every time Sophia passed by him in the hallway and said, "Hi, Antony," he almost forgot the rest of the school even existed. Only one person knew about it. Jared, his best and only friend. Skinny kid, programming genius, with a sarcastic sense of humor that was the only thing that could actually make Antony laugh. But Jared made a mistake. He trusted a girl named Rachel, Sophia's friend. Or better yet, friend of the wrong people. In less than 2 days, the whole school knew Antony liked the most untouchable girl in town. And then, the dirty part started. The popular kids, the same ones who cracked jokes behind his back in the locker room, saw an opportunity. They planned a prank, cold, calculated, disguised as an invitation. Sophia walked up to Antony in the cafeteria, sweet smile, curious look, started a little conversation, asked about the race last week. Antony's jaw almost hit the floor when she invited him to hang out with her and some friends for a weekend thing, a kind of challenge between them. Antony didn't even think twice. He said yes instantly. Jared tried to warn him. "This doesn't sound like good people, man. Smells like a setup." But Antony's heart was innocent, or maybe just desperate to be seen. Saturday night, an empty field, tucked behind some warehouses, near an abandoned slaughterhouse. There were torches lit, soft music playing from a Bluetooth speaker. The vibe seemed chill, but something in the air felt off. Sophia was there, wearing a hoodie, laughing, sipping juice with the others. She seemed cool, she seemed... Then they called Antony for a challenge, an obstacle race, only for the strong ones. There were tires to jump, ropes to climb, mud all over the ground. But the end was the real issue. A wall, concrete, 11 feet and 6 inches. Antony saw it, stopped, laughed, thinking it was a joke. But no one else laughed. Nick, one of the football team captains, pointed. "You're the runner, right? You gonna chicken out now?" Sophia walked up, touched Antony's arm. Her hand was warm, her voice even warmer. "You can do it. I believe in you." It was a lie. But it sounded real, and that was enough. He went, ran, dodged everything, jumped tires, slid through the mud, climbed the rope, reached the wall, looked up. Way too high. But he looked back and saw them filming, saw Sophia smiling, and Antony climbed. 1/2 meter, 1 meter, 2. His hand slipped. He shouted, but grabbed on again. His shoulder popped, but he kept going. When he reached the top, for a second, he felt something he'd never felt before. Pride. And then he fell. The silence broke with a crack. Dry, cruel, like snapping wood, but it was bone. Compound fracture in his right leg, ligaments torn, cartilage shredded, meniscus destroyed. His body shook, face twisted in pain, and the ground turned red. And the others laughed. Nick laughed out loud. Rachel filmed close up. Even Sophia laughed. Hand over her mouth like she'd just seen a funny meme. The ambulance took 14 minutes to get there. But in that time, Antony saw everything he needed to see. He had surgery, but he never ran again. Stayed home, reclusive, vanished from school. Jared was the only one who kept visiting. Told him the video leaked, that the parents tried to buy silence, that Sophia said, "I didn't know it would go that far." But it was a lie. They all knew. Only Antony didn't. Antony lay in bed, staring at the ceiling that hadn't changed in years. Same cracks, same stains, but now it looked like a prison. The doctors said it was a miracle he hadn't lost the leg. But to him, it didn't matter. The leg was there. The dream wasn't. He had spent years training, running in the cold, running with shoes that barely held together, running like his life DP. At Stone Mount Academy, the swim team was the pride of the school. Olympic-sized pool, modern panels, elite coaches. It was where the best trained, competed, and sometimes sank in silence. Evan Palmer, 17 years old, was one of them. Perfect strokes, focused mind, always quiet. He wasn't exactly popular, but once he hit the water, the world just made sense. Summer season was starting, and so was the pressure. Late-night practices, state championships approaching. As always, the pool stayed open until 8:50 p.m. That window, between the end of practice and the system shutdown, was when most swimmers stuck around to relax, mess around, race each other for fun. Nobody knew the danger started after 9 p.m. What no one saw was what happened in the equipment room, behind the tiled wall on the opposite side of the diving board. A room only the janitor and tech crew had access to. Filled with valves, levers, and a digital panel controlling the filtration, heating, and, most importantly, drainage. Larry, the night technician, had been there for 18 years. He was good at his job, but lately he'd been out of it. Sick wife, 2 jobs, barely any sleep. On a Tuesday night at 9:05 p.m. Зрение. Он забыл отрегулировать настройки дренажа. A button that should have been on safe mode was left on full pressure. That meant the pool began pulling water at maximum force through the bottom drains. No one noticed. No alarm sounded. The system was dead silent. 5 swimmers stayed after practice that night. Among them were Evan, Tyler, the class clown, and Claire, who was trying to beat her time in the 100-meter freestyle. They laughed, messed around, jumped in, and then decided to do a challenge. Swim across the bottom of the pool, one end to the other, without surfacing. Evan agreed. He was good at this. Always had been. He dove in. Silence. He swam close to the floor, eyes open, following the dark tiles. But when he passed over the deepest part, right after the center mark, He felt something strange tug at his arm. Weak at first, then firm. He tried to rise. His foot slipped. The force grew stronger. The sound of rushing water became audible. The drainage system was running at full blast, and he was right above the main outlet. This wasn't your average pool. It was a competition-grade pool, over 10 feet deep in the center. And the drain there was large enough to suck in an entire body, if it wasn't protected. Evan tried to scream, but he was underwater. He struggled. His shoulder popped. The water swirled around him. The pressure was brutal, an invisible whirlpool. At the edge, his friends laughed, thinking he was just fooling around. But Claire noticed first. Evan's body started to tremble. Bubbles rose erratically. And then he went still. Tyler dove in to help. But as he got close, he felt the same pull, strong, nearly lost his swim trunks. He shot back up, panicked. "Something's wrong. It's pulling," he yelled. Claire ran for the tech room, but Larry was already gone. The system was on autopilot. They managed to drag Evan out with a rescue pole, but it was almost too late. He was unconscious, bruises across his chest and arms. His lungs were nearly collapsed from the water pressure. At the ER, the doctor said, 30 more seconds, and he wouldn't have made it. The next day, the pool was shut down. The school blamed a technical failure, but the students knew the truth. Negligence. Evan survived, but he never swam again. He developed a fear of water, needed physical therapy sessions, months away from school. Claire never forgave herself for not noticing sooner. Tyler quit swimming, said he'd never get in a pool with something lurking at the bottom again. The system was upgraded, new alarms, motion sensors, but no protocol, no fancy tech could erase what happened. The truth stayed between the walls and tiles, at the bottom of the pool, in the still waters.